I'd also like to give you guys a few drawing pointers. There can be a little bit of a learning curve when you first start out with a drawing tablet, and I think everyone can attest that it feels very different to drawing by hand, but it offers lots of great things, so you just sort of have to get into a personal rhythm and relationship to your drawing tablet. But I'll show you a few things that I usually do within a drawing in Photoshop. So one thing that is really helpful for me is to utilize something called the rotate tool. So the rotate tool is over here on the left, very close to the color picker near the bottom. This is this little hand with a square being rotated. So if you click this, it'll give you that same symbol of a hand and a square. The hotkey is R. But now what you can do is click and hold, and you'll see that the rotate tool is rotating your view of the image. So this is not actually rotating the image like in other tools in Photoshop, but it is just changing the way that your view is oriented to you. So if you're trying to make a nice, smooth, curved line, let's say like this, it's more comfortable actually for your wrist to try and do it from this angle than to move your hand physically on your tablet to get the right angle. So I'm going to try and draw my cat who's sleeping near me, which you guys can't see, so you can't judge me if I do well or poorly. I'm going to do the arc of his back. Now the second thing that I'm doing, and maybe some of you are noticing this, that I am making a line and then hitting undo. This is not what everyone does, but for me, I found that it's far easier for me to sort of try to make one stroke that I like than to use the brush tool and then carve with the eraser tool. I find that my lines always look jagged or very clearly digital if I go back in and like erase them too much, so I always try to just make a line that I like. But I kind of like that one, so I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to rotate back. When you rotate, if you hold shift with your hand, what will happen is that the little compass that you saw before will come back, but now you can sort of rotate at these set angles, and it's much easier to sort of set into, you know, square angles, if you will. Whereas the other way is a just complete 360. Another thing that I recommend doing or getting into the habit of doing is, as well as using the hand tool, so I'm holding spacebar and moving, is zooming in and out frequently. So I'm going to do Command minus to sort of see where my image is, just to sort of do the equivalent of standing back from your drawing board in a traditional drawing with paper and pencil, sort of stand back and see it as a big shape, as values and all that. But you can also do that with your digital canvas. And there he is, my sleeping cat Howl. So you guys will also probably notice in the time lapse, I had to turn my drawing into a layer because I had been drawing on the background the whole time. So stuff like that happens. What I did was I actually just went and I made the background layer a real layer. So I double clicked, saved it as layer 0. And then up here in the blending mode section, I turned it into a multiply layer. So you can see this is the normal layer, so it's sitting on top of everything. And then once I turn it to multiply, it sort of presses down into the other information. So unless I did some really complicated color selecting and erasing and that kind of stuff, I would have lost the line art that I had started with. But with multiply, for simple certain drawings, you can sort of save your line art. So it works in this case. So I turned it to multiply, and then I was able to add color on a layer underneath. Now, let's quickly go in and save. So let's go to save as. I recommend always saving somewhere you know it will be. If you save to your desktop, it kind of slows down your computer and can make Photoshop run slower. So I'm going to go to, let's make a new folder. So folders on the desktop are fine. It's just loose files to sort of slow things down. So I'm right now going to put new folder, title it Howl, and now, according to the naming convention we're going to use for this class, I'm going to name him, it's called Caitlin _ Skullrood, and we'll call this test. Now I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file or a PSD, making sure that the layers button is checked, and then hit save. So saving with layers allows you to come back and edit as you were. So I'm going to hit maximize compatibility. And you can see down here in this left-hand corner, it will show you the document size. It will also show you the save progress. And I'm going to save one more time. I'm going to save, since this drawing is pretty much finished for me, I'm going to go to PNG. So now you can see, since I had just saved this, Photoshop has saved my name, and now I get to just click save. It's going to give you the PNG format options. I always just go with medium. And there is my beautiful sleeping cat.